Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally.
Hey, good evening. Happy New Year. And it's a glorious Happy New Year 2025. And if you're watching this show right now, I thank God that you made it to this side. I want to thank America's Heroes Group for asking me to come and take a seat on this pristine platform where we share resources and information, vital resources and information to veterans nationwide. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am an Army veteran. And we'll get into a lot of the reasons why I'm here on this platform. We're going to be talking about veterans and not just any veteran. I love to talk about homeless veterans because that's my little thing that I do. And I've been housing homeless veterans for the past 21 years. It'll be 22 years this August that I've been housing homeless veterans. But I didn't start right there. I started housing with myself. I was, you know how that the commercial, I'm not just um, uh, um, what does he say? I'm not just a customer, I'm also a client. Well, I was my very first client, veteran who I housed out of homelessness. And almost 22 years later, and we're still having that same conversation. Who does that? Who does that? Well, we do that in the veteran community. We are human too, and things happen, and we just happen to be a community all of its own because we are veterans. So we're in that little clique. And also to narrow that down, the little clique of homeless veterans. And I am going to spend a lot of time right there because after 21 years, that door keeps revolving, going around and around. And inside every little slit, there's a homeless veteran. And I don't mean to make light of it. And I'm not laughing about the situation, by no means necessary. Because you see, I've housed over 5,000 homeless veterans with the information and knowledge that I know. And I'm here to share a lot of that information and knowledge with you. Oh, thank you, Jesus. And I have to say that because if it wasn't for the goodness of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be here today. As a veteran, I went into the Army 3 weeks after I turned 18. My birthday is July 5th, and I enlisted in the Army July 22nd of 1983. I did that, and my parents didn't know. I said, I'm 18. I can do whatever I want to do. So I enlisted in the Army, and also I was researching universities and enrolled at NIU. So I was doing something good for myself, not just because I was 18. And things happened. I went to the military on a delayed entry, got there. Everything was wonderful, wonderful. I had done drills for 6 months before I went to boot camp, so I'm ready. I got all the cadences down. I knew how to take that M16 apart, inspect it, clean it up real good, put it back together. Man, I learned how to read maps. Imagine that. A little Black girl from the west side of Chicago in CHA housing. Who reads maps over there? They weren't teaching us that. The Army taught me how to do that, and I felt accomplished knowing how to read a paper map. Oh, so boot camp turned out to be a breeze. I got through a lot of those things. And then the dreaded military sexual trauma happened. And I was a victim of that trauma. Came home and resumed school, and also met somebody. I met a Marine. I'm like, ooh wee, he's nice. Like my brothers, all of my brothers are Marines, and they're just wonderful men. But he turned out to be not too good. And that's how I became homeless. So now I'm a Army veteran of military sexual trauma and homeless, not to mention the battery and abuse. So all of those categories. And I walk into the VA for help as a homeless, battered, and abused female Army veteran. And the VA turns me back around outside on those cold winter Chicago streets or the hot summer streets, because I would run away constantly to be away from that batterer. So now I'm an Army veteran of military sexual trauma, battered and abused, homeless female veteran. Life couldn't get any worse than that, could it? Yeah, every time I went to the VA, they turned me around. I had no resources, no services. So 21 years later, I'm here with so many resources and so many services to just educate and inform our veteran communities of veterans, of social workers, case managers, human care professionals, realtors like myself, investors, and concerned citizens like you. We have a problem. We have a very serious problem that stems back to my own personal experience going to the VA looking for services because I was homeless, because I was battered and abused, because I was sleeping in my car. Help somebody. Where are the resources? Where are the services to help homeless veterans? And I've been doing this for 21 years. And I get to smile about it because I've housed over 5,000 homeless veterans. I've taught people how to do this. They worked with me on teams that I put together. This is a revolving door. We have over, at the last count, and it is in my upcoming um, uh, supportive housing programs. And I've got two that will be launched to the nation, because everybody in every city, every state, every county, every small village, every Native American, oh shoot, I forgot the name of it, but where Native Americans live on, I keep wanting to say resort, reservation. You know, there is, let me tell you this number right here so you can understand about this revolving door of homeless veterans nationwide. The numbers are staggering because there is no actual count. You've got the count of veterans who are living on the street, and they go out and count those. That's the PIT count. I forgot what the PIT stood for. It's in my notes as well. And mind you, I do want to say that I had a stroke, and sometimes I do forget my words. But I don't forget what I'm doing in this life to service homeless veterans. So in 2025, this is the budget in the community for services for veterans who are homeless and at risk, veterans who are incarcerated, veterans who just homeless for whatever reason. Their budget from October 2024 through September 2025 is $3.2 billion. You heard me, $3.2 billion. That's the budget. And that budget is for veterans And these are the categories where that money is to be spent. Number one, prevention services. So there are organizations and agencies that specialize in helping a veteran pre, pre, prevent from being homeless. And that money comes through HUD. It could be from an SSVF, supportive services for veteran families, like Catholic Charities. Wherever in your state you've got agencies that receive this funding to pay for a veteran not to become homeless. This is prevention services. And prevention services receives 26% of that 3.2 billion, which is 825 million. Now, I'm not going to break down all of these numbers, but I do want to tell you the categories that this $3.2 billion will service in our communities where we live, nationwide, wherever you are. The second one is transitional housing. Oh my God, do we need more of that? We have so many homeless veterans who, if they could get into a transitional facility so that they can run through with an organization like a VSO, a veteran service officer, to help them with their benefits, they might even qualify to be 100% service connected. Being homeless on the street, what happened to us in the military, that weighs on us mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. Shit happened. And it's still affecting our brains. This mental health is very important in our community. So transitional housing, to get a veteran off the street into something warm and safe until we can get them through their uh, application to receive other benefits. And also permanent housing. This is one of my specialties because I am a realtor with Real People Realty, and I have been a realtor for, well, since 1996. And I've been housing homeless veterans for the past 21, going on 22 years this August 2025. So permanent housing, that's where a veteran is receives a benefit of HUD, HUD VASH voucher. That's a Section 8 voucher specifically for the veteran and the veteran's family. So that's permanent housing. Then you have treatment. I can't get into that because I don't operate in that realm, but I'm just letting you know where this $3.2 billion is being allocated. Then you have employment services and administration costs. So $3.2 billion for the fiscal year October 2024, and the money has already been circulating around to these veterans. And this fiscal year ends September 2025. So if you have an organization, you want to get connected to, let's say, HUD VASH in your city, your state, your town, contact the VA, let them know you have housing that you want to present for a homeless veteran in the HUD VASH program. It's needed. Go on the VA website and look for that as well. Oh, so with that being said, I received a phone call. We're talking about resources. That's my specialty. I can find resources anywhere, and that's two of the programs that will be launched hopefully next month to teach social workers, case managers, human care professionals, realtors, investors, property managers, and concerned citizens like you and me how to find resources in your immediate area. That's where it's really, really needed. So I received a phone call from our executive director, Glenda Smith, right here on America's Heroes Group, to inform me that there is a homeless veteran who relocated here from another state. Well, anyway, he's here now, and he is on the streets. You know how cold it is here in Chicago. Nobody needs to be on those cold city streets. So I got to work on it and found resources for him to call. made contact with the local organization, an SFVF receiver of funds, and their GPD program. That's the grant per diem. I didn't even call. I just sent a text message. Hey, I got a homeless male veteran and he needs some place to go. You got some beds? He said, yeah, we got some beds. Okay, good. So write the letter, get him referred over. Everything is imperfect. Everything is not perfect in the world of housing homeless veterans. This was Friday when I received that call. Well, homeless walk-in at the VA is closed. So there's nowhere for him to go and do his intake because homeless walk-in at the VA is closed until Monday. This was Friday. So there were some other emergency resources on there that he could also contact to see if they had something over the weekend. But what I can say about housing homeless veterans, it's a wonderful thing, but there's still processes and procedures that the veteran needs to go through, which would result in extra days of being on the street. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you all come back every third Wednesday of the month because there's so much happening. I'm boots on the ground. I hear the phone calls. I review the videos that are on the va.gov website talking specifically about homelessness in our nation amongst our veterans. The numbers, there shouldn't be any numbers. That's all I can say about that. There are a lot of numbers of homeless veterans. I posted a list of from A all the way to W, all of the states from in alphabetical order, and how many homeless veterans were counted in that point in time. PIT of counting homeless veterans on the street. But you can't capture the veteran who is going from couch to couch or who's in their car and don't know, hey, let me go over here so I can be counted. Or who is living in an abandoned house or in a U-Haul facility. True story. I moved him out of that U-Haul facility to a condominium downtown overlooking Navy Pier and the White Sox Park in a wheelchair. Yes. So those types of housing options for that category, they're far and few between if you don't know the resources. And that's what this show is all about, connecting veterans, connecting the community to resources that are local and national. I can go national because I know how to find all of them. And then the two programs that I'll be launching next month is to teach and to train. I mean, look, it's information and knowledge that I've gained over almost 22 years and now know how to put it together to come and teach you how to do it yourself so that you don't have to call. I don't know who you're going to call. I was just asking my insurance broker yesterday. I said, now you're right there on 87th, right there on a main busy street. If you were to have a homeless veteran walk into your State Farm, what would you do? Who would you call? Concerned citizen. Who would you call to let them know I have a homeless veteran in my State Farm on 87th and Avalon, I believe. What can we do with him? Who would you call? Well, the training that I have that's being launched will teach you exactly how to find resources in your immediate area to make the phone calls to get that veteran some immediate attention and services. Whether or not it's from Friday to Monday, at least he'll know he has a bed to go to Monday. It's a lot. And in 21 years, it's still that revolving door where everybody knows these numbers, and the numbers are not, they fluctuate, they go up and down, but they're never level to just decrease unless we're all doing it together. What we need in our communities are available and affordable housing for veterans. What we need in our community are concerned investors and realtors to teach your investors, and social workers and case managers to know where the resources are, so that when a case manager or veteran calls the realtor, like myself or you, and say, hey, I'm working with a veteran. I always say I'm working with the veteran first, and this veteran has a HUD-VASH voucher. It's the category of the Section 8 specifically for that veteran. Yes, that opens the, especially if this person is a concerned citizen and wants to help that homeless veteran get off the street, get off the couch, get out of his or her car, and utilize the federal funds, part of that $3.2 billion, to pay the rent on behalf of that veteran in your property. You're helping in the community by doing that. We have a few more moments, but I just want to let you know I appreciate you. I appreciate you for taking time to stop by and to stay, to listen to what I have to say. Little old me, I was just asked to be here on the show because of the wonderful and amazing things that I have been doing in the community for 21 years. Somebody just asked me yesterday, that, do you like what you do? I'm like, what kind of, who does not like what they do for 21 years and still has a smile on their face every day? Yeah, some days I cry, but most days I'm smiling because I know I have some solutions for a lot of people. And a lot of people have received solutions because of the information that I maintain and that I'm about to start sharing in the coming next month. So that class will be launched and you are welcome to attend. I'll let you know how much it costs. Oh my God. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to come back on the second half to talk about some of these programs and to talk about the 24 workshops, the veterans housing and home buying workshops that are scheduled for 2025. Yes. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for the Mental Health Veterans Advocacy Consumer Council at the Jesse Brown VA. Stay tuned for that. So just stay tuned and come back at the 5:30 hour for more information on what's going on in the Chicagoland area and what could be going on in your area with the information and resources that I have to share with you. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am an Army veteran and the wife of an Army retired Master Sergeant, Mr. Stephen Swanson. That's who I am. And I am a national, I'm going to say the, because I'm the one who gave myself the title, the National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate and Consultant. That's a mouthful. Say it 3 times. I don't think I could even say it 3 times. But again, I just want to thank you all for being here and come back because I've got a lot to show you. Starting with a lot of books and a lot of programs. This should get your eyeballs big. And 24 workshops in the city of Chicago. Just for now, because we may be adding more depending on who needs them in their community. And these workshops are duplicatable. That's another thing that I want to start. Want to start teaching, because when I tell people or inform people that is in the book, you got to read the book in order to know exactly how to do the workshop. But it's right there in the book. And what we need in our community is resources. And this is being duplicated. It's another resource to show a veteran how to use their VA loan, how to find out if you qualify for a VA loan. There is so much that we can do in this community, and I am just happy to be here. I'll see you wonderful people back at the top of the hour, and we'll go from there.
Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618.
I'm Ken Jennings. All of us here at Jeopardy want to thank you for your service to our nation. We truly honor and appreciate you, and what's more, we're looking for contestants like you to play on our show. So head to Jeopardy.com now and take the Anytime test, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon right here on the Alex Trebek stage.
Sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618. Where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally.
Oh. That's a jam. So I'm glad the picture came across the screen, and it looked like Che Gonzales is joining us at 5:30 p.m. That's what it looks like. But Che Gonzales will not be joining us this evening. But it's all good, because last month when Che Gonzales was here live, when I had the mishap of not being somewhere where you can actually see me, actually I was with the 75-year-old former homeless retired Army veteran 3 tours of duty, 2 bronze medals. She was 75 and homeless, and I housed her 2 times. So back to Che Gonzales. Che Gonzales was my guest here last month, the 3rd Wednesday of last month. And he was unhoused. He was couch surfing. He was sleeping in his automobile. He was a homeless veteran. Well, now, months later, he is housed and he is in college working on his degrees in architectural art, something like that. But I know he's doing some architectural classes and some art classes. This is because he's housed. A veteran cannot have a strong mental capacity and do amazing things and be unhoused. So where are you going to sleep? I was running away and I was unhoused and it was hard. And some of those times I was a college student at Columbia College. And I'm like, all I have to do is graduate to be able to get out of this abusive relationship, marriage, mishap. And I knew that was going to be my outlet, and it was. But Che Gonzales, he needed that housing first. It didn't happen first. It happened because of a lot of resources that I shared with him. And one of the resources came through, and they are paying the rent on his behalf. I'll have to come back when I remember that. Volunteers of America of Illinois. That's the resource that is assisting Che Gonzales with his housing. And now he is a university student. Thank you very much. Resources work. Without resources, without knowledge, that's what that is. You have to have the knowledge in order to do the thing you need to do. If you don't have the resources to get to the knowledge, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. So, welcome back to my show. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am an Army veteran, military sexual trauma, battered and abused, homeless female veteran, turned realtor, investor, business owner, and host right here on the America's Heroes group. Thank you very much. I've been housing homeless veterans for the past 21 years. I was my first homeless veteran that I housed, running away from a battery situation, going to the VA for resources, for help, and never, ever getting it. They didn't have the resources. I went to the police station, no resources. I went to family court, something like that. And that's where I was introduced to the YWCA in Evanston, Illinois, for battered women like myself. And mind you, I was pregnant as well. That was my transitional housing out of homelessness. But it didn't stop there because the cycle continues. And that's why I'm here today, 21 years later, to share resources with veterans, social workers, case managers, human care professionals, realtors, investors, property owners, property managers, concerned citizens like yourselves. That's why I'm here, to show you how to access this community to service our homeless veterans. You know, we've got homeless veterans in categories, right? We've got homeless veterans who retire homeless. My husband was a guest on my show a few months ago. He retired out of the military after 37 years of service. Oh, you're processing out. Oh yeah, in a week. Where do you go? How do you plan for something like that when you don't have time to get off work to fly back to Chicago and find some place to live? You know, people don't know these things. You know, he wasn't a realtor at the time. You retire homeless. You're incarcerated and you're released homeless. You are in the hospital and you're released from the hospital homeless. I housed a 75-year-old homeless female Army veteran, 3 tours of duties, 2 bronze medals, homeless 2 times. She was sent away from the VA. Luckily, they gave her a sheet of paper. My name was at the top, and she called me first. I wasn't going to answer the phone, but it was a 773 area code. I'm like, that's my old neighborhood over at CHA, Abla. So I answered the phone, and it happened to be her. And I'm like, oh, not on my watch, honey. So we went, and I got her approved the very next day. The very next day, things happened. She had to go to the hospital. I told them, look, we got to get over to Jesse Brown VA. They wanted to know why. I'm like, well, she's a veteran. Duh. Never got her over to the VA. Instead, she was transported to some North Side Shore mental hospital and was released from that hospital 20 days later, homeless. Went to the VA, stayed the night at the VA, washed her out, got her real clean, released from overnight homeless. This is what happens to our veterans. If a social worker, a case manager, or human care professional at the site where the homeless veteran is going don't know how to access resources that quick, go down the list, make a few phone calls, get them somewhere right now. At least the promise from Friday to Monday. That's how quickly we need to know how to access information. And those are the 2 national programs that I'm launching next month. Hopefully, I got to finish going through 2 books at the same time. But one of them is like the first one, Collaboration Housing Solutions for Homeless Veterans, Securing Rental Houses for Social Workers, Case Managers, Human Care Professionals. This one is like 95% finished. And it's a lot of letters in here that I want you all to read when you get these books about from 2012, housing homeless veterans, letters from the VA to me, thanking me for my service way back then. And then the second book is for veterans, realtors, investors, property owners, because veterans need to know how to communicate with realtors. Realtors need to know how to communicate with their investor to come back to the homeless veteran, know how to do the paperwork as a realtor, know how to find services, resources quickly. That's what this whole thing about homeless veterans is all about, is knowing how to find resources fast, effective, resources that work. When our executive producer, Miss Glenda Smith, called me in a frantic mode, I'm like, calm down, little lady. I got this. I know what to do. Calm down. So I made I didn't call him. I sent a text message. You got any beds? I have a homeless male veteran who needs someplace to go. What you got? You have something in your program. And in that particular program was the Grant Per Diem. The Grant Per Diem is funding that an organization uses to give a veteran a bed, a room, a safe, warm place to sleep, some place to eat and bathe, and just relax for a moment. My God, that's all we need, is some place to be. That way our lives can enhance. As a military sexual trauma victim, a victim of battery and domestic violence, a victim of homelessness, all of that, that was my life. There were no resources offered except for the YWCA in Evanston. Other than that, I had nothing. It wasn't until I got a job with the City of Chicago Department of Revenue working with business licenses is when I started getting paid. And that's when I could save enough money to live in my car for about 2 weeks to save up enough money to go and rent my first apartment out of homelessness. Graduated college, got the job at the city, and I'm like, look, if all else fails, I'm not the one to do it. We need resources. And the resources are out here. You've got $3.2 billion of funding for veterans for prevention services. And all of this is on the va.gov. Go do your research. Just type in 3.2 billion in your search bar. Prevention services, transitional housing, permanent housing, HUD-VASH, treatment, employment training, and administration costs. All of that money is for veterans who are homeless, who are at risk of being homeless, who are being released from prison, who are homeless because they couldn't afford $600 to pay to keep them in that apartment. True story. No resources found, put it that way, because nobody knew where to tell her to go. When she told me, she was already gone, but I pulled up resources in the area just to show her. If nobody teaches you, then you won't know. That's why I created these 2 programs, 2 4-hour programs. In the meantime, and between time, my team and I, we have 24 scheduled veteran housing and home buying resources workshops in the city of Chicago at the Vet Center, Forest Park Vet Center, at Jesse Brown VA CRRC, and at Harold Washington College. And you can go on my website, vetmentorsonline.com, to view that schedule. Oh, and maybe more to come, depending on other organizations. So the first workshop actually is tomorrow. Go on Eventbrite and register for the first workshop. It is on Zoom. And then I was looking at all of this from the past, and in one of the workshop books that I have coming up, it has the very first workshop at the Vet Center back in 2013. This is 2025. And what was in this workshop? Rental units and purchases, homeless, relocating and transitioning veterans, veterans in need of additional housing services included but not limited to utility allowance, rental assistance, furniture and furnishings, cash paying veterans, HUD-VASH, and vets receiving other housing supportive services are all welcome. This is dated August 1st, 2013. Today is January 15th, 2025. Do the math. What's 25 minus 13? 2 and a 1 and a what? 10. That's 12. That's 12. Remember that revolving door I told you about? Yes, that's this revolving door. This is 2013. This is 2025. The same thing. And I did one in August and one in October of the same year. It's a revolving door because we're not on the same accord. If you have a veteran walk into your office and you sit them down and they say they need this, and this, and you don't know where to go get any of this or maybe one of that, then what? The veteran is still walking back out the door, still in need of services, still in need of resources. These two federal programs that I'm launching, they will teach all of y'all how to find. So our executive director, Ms. Glenda Smith, wouldn't have had to call me in a frantic and whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, calm down, little lady. I got it. One text message to one local organization had a bed waiting for him. All he had to do was go do the walk-in, the homeless walk-in at Jesse Brown VA. And he had a bed waiting for him. Unfortunately, homeless walk-in wasn't open that day, and he had to do the intake in order for him to get into the system so that organization can get paid under their grant per diem grant from the federal government. So there's still a process. Yes, there's nobody who's just going to say, oh, he's homeless. Okay, I got him. Yeah, it's still a process. So we have 24 workshops scheduled for 2025. Again, you can go on my website, vetmentorsonline.com, to look at that schedule. Our first one is tomorrow on Zoom. So if you go on Eventbrite and type in my name, Yvette Jones Swanson, it should come up, and then you can register for tomorrow's first introduction of the people on my team. And we have realtors, lenders, we've got the house masters, the home inspection. We have attorneys. We've got IDA. Because using a VA home loan, oh my goodness, there's no money down, first of all. I have a book about that too. So this is the 3rd edition, Veterans Buying a Real Estate Guide for Today's Market. So I have about 30 books. Just look up my name on Amazon and choose what you need. So using the VA home loan, and we do help veterans from homelessness through their transitional housing phase to renting an apartment with a lot of our investors who want us to help them lease up their properties for veterans to live using their HUD-VASH voucher, using any source of SSVF funding that they receive that'll pay the rent on behalf of that veteran. Why not? Why not? Thank you very much. And if you are an investor, please contact me, because we're always looking to work with amazing, caring people like yourself. All right. So these workshops go for veterans who they're not always going to be homeless. So they come to the workshop like, look, this is just something that I'm going through right now, but I got my HUD-VASH, so I'm going to rent this place, and now I've got my my GI Bill. I'm going back to school. I've got you. So I'm going to work with the VSO to apply for my benefits, my disability benefits. So you have a lot of things going on. And even better when a veteran is housed, you've got some place to go that's warm and safe. So we've got that. So we got you covered from rentals, and now home ownership. I can tell you how many. I cannot tell you how many grown men. I'm used to the women crying, but grown men crying. And I understand. Homeless is homeless. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Homeless is homeless. And I get to watch grown people just show so much love and gratitude, and just it reminds me all over and over again how it felt to come out of homelessness to my own crib. And now I got the deed too. And now look, we go back, right? We go back and do it again. I have veterans who have come from being homeless to renting to went back to school and got their LCSW. Now they're working at the VA as a licensed clinical social worker, owning two flats that we both sold her. So things like that. And she said, Yvette, I want more veterans. I want more properties to house more veterans. And that's what they all say. That's what we all say. It's a revolving door. So let's catch them on their way out, catch them on their way out, catch them on their way out. So that way they don't keep going around and around. We catch them and we don't put them back through that cycle. That's what we do. That's what we do here at Vet Mentors. I'm Vet. I'm Yvette, the Vet Mentors, LLC. Somebody gave me that name. She said, Yvette, that's what you do. That's your name, and that's what you are. I'm like, girl, you're so right. She was one of my attorneys earlier on the team. But our team consists of some rock stars, veterans. Our lender who we're adding this year is a veteran from the Army, Ricardo Wardlaw. We have my husband, retired Army Master Sergeant Stephen Swanson. He's also designated military relocation professional. I know because I'm the one who conducted that designation class. And then we have Elijah Ogletree. This is the team who will be on the Zoom tomorrow. Elijah Ogletree, oh my goodness, his grandfather is on a plaque at the Military Museum in Washington, D.C. Elijah's grandfather is Army, and his father is also Army. Then we have House Masters. This is our home inspection company that we utilize. The home inspection company, all veterans. At one point, even the owner was a veteran. Oh, then we have our attorneys who have been with us, for a very long time. Crosstown Legal, attorney Kathleen Cunningham and attorney Khadijah Hall. It's funny because they're both attorneys on the team. And Kathleen Cunningham was Khadijah's attorney when I sold her condo. So everything stays in the family. Everything stays right here. We have Ida. Ida, even though a veteran does not have to, they're not paying a down payment. That's one of the benefits veterans receive using the VA loan. So no down payment, but now Ida has grants that we're able to utilize to help a veteran as well. So now no down payment and ability to get a grant when you purchase that home. So those are things and then we have our insurance broker who's coming, Charles Cathy of State Farm. So we have a jam-packed introduction tomorrow of the team and also of the workshops that are going forward this year, 2025. We got 24 workshops. When I was doing workshops at the Vet Center, Forest Park Vet Center, and that's where we're going back, counted up over 10 years of workshops, 200 veteran housing home buying workshops. These were two that I did, one in August and then one in October, back to back. And then at several different vet centers in the colleges. And that's what's happening again. These veterans is too many. It's too many. It's too many. And I can't say that enough. It's too many. It's just too many. And veterans don't need to be homeless. Everybody can say that. Everybody's saying that we shouldn't have homeless veterans. But what are you doing about it? Look. And it's a sales pitch. And it's a pitch to get everybody up and get everybody registered when these two programs launch. Because everybody needs to know how to service a homeless veteran in your area. Don't look at what everybody else is doing around the country. Look at your area, because there are resources right there. You have government resources, private resources, philanthropy resources, church resources. That's part of philanthropy, but you've got resources that you don't even know about because they're not advertising these resources. And that's what these two programs are here to help teach you how to do in your area. I want to thank America's Heroes Group for asking me to be a part of this programming show. My name is Yvette Jones Swanson, and I am an Army veteran, National Veterans Homeless Housing Advocate and Consultant nationwide. You want a program in your area, give me a call, contact me. However you're going to contact me, I'm published, listed, and everything else. And let's get this information, these resources, and this knowledge right to you so you can help those veterans in your area, in your neck of the woods. I think my time is up. I want to thank you all for being here. I got all emotional at the end because I know what it's like to be homeless. Here's a flyer from 2019. A flyer from 2015. And now it's 2025. We're still talking about homeless veterans. I'm also the Veterans Mental Health Consumers Advocacy Council chairperson. So all of this housing and all of these resources, all of it goes back to our mental health. We can cover all of this stuff and we can begin to start healing from the inside out, from the outside in, however you want to see it. You get a crib from the inside out. You're waiting for a crib from the outside in because you know it's coming. Thank y'all for watching. I get emotional about this because it's real. I feel it every single time I talk to a veteran who's homeless, who's just trying to make it so that they can continue to make it positively in life. Don't nobody want to be homeless or unhoused. And I don't want, even want to, especially not a veteran. Stop saying that if you're not going to do nothing about it. For real. We know that the solution is having those resources.
Welcome
and making a
to
phone
AHG
call right
Connects,
there on the
where
spot.
voices,
Not talking about
information,
somebody
and
needs to do
resources
something. We all
are
can do
empowered
something. And that's
intentionally.
that right there. So I'll teach y'all. Don't be scared to learn. That's what I have to say. Don't be afraid to use the information and resources that you will receive from this knowledge and share with veterans in your neck of the woods. Then you can say, no veteran needs to be homeless.
Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618.
I'm Ken Jennings. All of us here at Jeopardy want to thank you for your service to our nation. We truly honor and appreciate you, and what's more, we're looking for contestants like you to play on our show. So head to Jeopardy.com now and take the Anytime test, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon right here on the Alex Trebek
Social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally.
Well, hello and welcome to America's Heroes Group. My name is Stephanie Kalota, here as a host for the very first time. So excited to be here for all of this. And I'm excited to interview Keisha Jackson. She is a family caregiver and a partner of America's Heroes Group. She is a retired Air Force veteran and family caregiver and champion. Sorry, I'm so nervous. After being the primary caregiver for her mother, who had stage 4 inoperable lung cancer, and her brother, who fell and was placed on life support for 6 months, she shares knowledge she gained and has become an ardent supporter of family caregivers out there. So welcome, Keisha.
Hi, Stephanie. Happy New Year. So great to be with you. I think this is maybe our second time that we've been together. I think we did it maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm excited. We got girl power rocking today.
Yes. I know many people know me for the congressional side, but I do try to help out in other advocacies in other ways. And this is a very interesting subject for caregivers, especially with things that's been going on. And I know in Congress, they've been having a lot of stuff that's been going on. But today that you're here is to discuss the cost of caregiving, financial, physical, emotional, and spiritual. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so caregiving, I always say, is it is just like, it is my life work, and I became a caregiver, as you read, and or as you mentioned about when I was caring for my mother, who had stage 4 inoperable lung cancer. And I learned that my mother had this terminal illness by literally getting a phone call from my brother, walking into her hospital room, and the doctor told us to prepare for life support. And so caring for my mom was on a fixed income. My dad had passed. She was getting this veteran's pension, widow's pension. And so she wasn't getting a lot of support. So even while I was caring for my mom, there was a lot of out-of-pocket expenses that was coming. And I learned, and I think the majority of caregivers learn that, first of all, that you are a caregiver when there's a crisis or something happens, because before that, you don't even think you're a caregiver. You're just doing it. You're just going in and out of your pocket. And before you know it, you could be bankrupt, or you can be your health could be failing, or you could be depressed. And so all of those different things is what I want to talk about, kind of like some of the things that came specifically that I learned in those particular situations for care with my mom, but really overall just the cost of being a family caregiver.
Yeah. It's really important because a lot of veterans, they do depend on others at times to be caregivers for them. And a lot of times it's a spouse or child or, other family member or even a friend. They don't identify themselves as caregivers or understand the programs out there for them. I remember speaking years ago with a friend of mine, actually a coworker, when I was still in the Army Reserve, about his father, because his father's a veteran and his mother drives the father, to the VA. It's like a 2-hour drive to the closest VA. They didn't have a clinic nearby. And she spent so much time on him that she couldn't really hold down a job. And it was a huge financial cost on him and for the rest of the family, because the rest of the family was trying to work on that as well. So it's very difficult when that thing happens, and they had no idea about the caregiver program, and I had to give them the information then, and I was still working for the Army. I was not doing this stuff yet.
Yeah, that's one of the things with that. For military veterans, a lot of them are not within walking distance, if I could just say it like that, to the closest VA medical facility. A lot of them are in rural areas, you know, and so it's very, very, very difficult. And whether you're active duty, I found a dependent, whether it's a spouse dependent or either your children dependent, there's this innate ability that you have, and now I'll just say to be tough, right? And to take it all, or you may not tell anybody, or you may, because you go PCS from different places, you may not have that support group to say, hey, I need help, and you try to take it all in yourself. And before you know it, there's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses that you may even have yourself, whether it's, like you said, traveling a distance, paying for gas, some paying for tolls, maybe some having to get a babysitter or a nanny. It's just so much that you don't think about until you're in that situation. And then you're forced to come up with, to what do you do? And so even in that situation, maybe it was aid and attendance or something that you were able to tell others about. But some of the things, the good thing is those programs are out there, but for like so many people, those things are good to learn if we would just be so proactive in the planning, instead of now we're forced into this situation. And now you have to fill out the application. You got to find paperwork. You got to get the Social Security. The person may not want to talk about it. You have all of these different things that's extending that time. But that health situation is still the same, and they need day-to-day help. They may need depends, you know. They may need someone to sit with them while you go to work or you try to take a nap. And so you have all of those things that affect the cost, the physical cost, the financial cost, the emotional cost, even the spiritual cost of being a caregiver.
Yeah. Oh man, I was just looking up before we had this interview, and according to the AARP, family caregivers spend an average of $7,242 a year on caregiving.
Yeah, and with that's not recent. That's been for a while.
A couple years. Yeah, that's a couple of years old. It's not a new report. So who knows what it could be right now.
Well, but that's based off of, and I'm an AARP volunteer, so I definitely just support it in the research that we do. But even if you think about it, that is the ones most of the time when you are actively caregiving, you're not taking a poll. You're not being involved in a survey. So sometimes, and I don't know because I didn't go back and I've read that a while ago to see the ones that were actually, they had polled to get that information. But that's probably a light number. I would think it's a lot higher than that, because if you think that's what you're saying and out of pocket, it may be what you spend just for the addition for the pharmaceutical portion of it or the financial portion of it. But there's so many different things, because if you're taking off work, you're losing hours, you're not contributing if you have a 401k. We don't have pensions anymore, you know. You're not putting into your retirement. So overall, there's so much more the cost. And even with, I don't know if it was that report or another, AARP had noted that it's like $600 billion on average a year that's being paid out of for that family caregivers are paying. And that, I think that's as of like 2021. And I think around 2017, it was probably about 450 billion. So you see, that's in just those 4 years, it went up another $150 billion out of pocket that family caregivers are contributing.
Yeah. And I saw that report. It's estimated 36 billion hours of care.
Yeah, a week. Yeah. And if you think about it, the average cost I was for family caregivers, I think it may be tied into that. And I said I haven't looked at it in a while, but it was saying that they were paying, if you averaged out, it averaged out to about 18 hours a week for, it was about $16.59 an hour. But that's not a lot. Can you live off of $16.59 an hour, especially if you have children? Or a lot of caregivers are in that sandwich generation where you're caring for maybe your parents or your spouse, but then you also have children in the house that you're trying to feed, and they want to be on the basketball team or the soccer team, and you're trying to pay for their uniforms, and you know, all of those things are going on. So the financial costs are just continually increase.
Yeah, especially if you're living in a state that you have your support system there to help you still, but it's not enough. But it's also a state where it's high.
Yeah.
To live, like California, Florida. I think the last time I saw the report, and I know this was before COVID, you needed to earn $22 an hour just to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to survive. Yeah. I'm like, come on, that was before COVID. That's wild. It's $16 an hour. No.
And then that's what I said, it goes back to where I was talking about. Caregivers don't realize the cost of it. And I'm not having this conversation or dialogue to try to deter people from being a family caregiver, because in-home and community-based services is really the best care that you can provide for your family member and your loved one. But it's just my heart, my desire, my passion to get people to really think about it really before you become a caregiver, and maybe put some planning and some things in place to be able to help you and your loved one along the way.
Yeah. So what other costs that we talked about financial, can you go a little bit more into other costs that happen when you are being a caregiver?
Yeah, well, you had mentioned one of the things is the emotional cost, the mental health cost. And for the veterans alone, I think the depression rate for caregivers is twice that of the population of the normal community, if I could just say it like that, outside of the veterans. Okay. I wasn't thinking about the right word to say, and definitely don't want to be disrespectful to anyone. But yeah, if it's twice the rate where you have a family member that is now more depressed, and it's a little bit about what we talked about earlier, you may not want to share with anyone. And it may be not just because of yourself, but sometimes family members feel like they're protecting their loved one by not saying anything. You may not want that family veteran, that person in the military, to be reported or to lose their job, or so you don't want to say anything, or you might be embarrassed, or different things like that. So depression is very high. The thoughts of suicide are extremely high. I think the suicidal rate and I won't say necessarily for those that are caring for those, our military population or our veterans, but just the civilian population is probably it could be 30% higher, because you become overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed by this massive assignment that you have to become a doctor, a lawyer, a pastor, a Uber driver, a taxi driver. You become the chaplain. You have to become the dietitian. And you didn't go to school for any of those, but we talked about it. But now you're getting paid $16.59 an hour roughly, although that's not really what you're getting paid. But now you're the jack of all trades, the master of none. And you're watching your loved one, in some case, deteriorating. And that is very emotionally, financially, spiritually, that's very heavy for a person.
It is. What resources out there do you really recommend for people?
Well, this may be something that you could talk about, because we were chatting it up a little bit, and we were talking about for the veterans. And always, if for veterans, check and see the resources out there for aid and attendance that we were talking about, and seeing if you as a dependent can get if there's a pay that you can get as a dependent caring for that loved one. And we know that there are, and I do believe for the VA that they don't tie it based off of your income like some of the other things outside of that do. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to your VA to get support. I always, and it seems like the last few months that we've been on here, I am a big proponent of reaching out to your local area agency on aging. AAA, the AAA, not the card, but the local area agency on aging. They are very, very, extremely very, and I know that's not the proper way to say it, connected with the local area, because a lot of the resources that we can talk about may be state, they're going to provide more state and local, where we may be talking about more from a federal, at a higher level. And if you're talking about them for a higher level, normally that's going to take a little bit longer to get those things put in place. But if you're working with someone that knows about maybe this mom and pop market or grocery store in your neighborhood that provides a discount, or there's a taxi service in your neighborhood, or they provide Meals on Wheels or different things like that. So that's why I always recommend people contact their local area agency on aging.
I see it all the time for me, and I do like to recommend people to actually reach out on social media, because sometimes there's a lot of Facebook groups that out there that are by geographical location. There's veterans groups. groups. There's lots of other groups that they'll out there. You can just say, hey, I'm in a situation. I need help. Where can I go? This is my location.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can really find great organizations. Like there's one when I used to live in St. Pete, there was a food kitchen. Didn't ask you what your income was. You came in, and it was really nice because it was kind of like a grocery store. And they gave you what you can get in each category.
Oh, yes.
And there's no questions asked. You just go in, get the stuff, and then you can go.
Yeah, we have a couple of those in this area, the pantries where they allow you to go in and encourage you to be able to go in and just get those particular items to be able to help you. The thing is, I had someone on the show maybe about 4 years ago, and she was caring for a mom who had dementia. And a form of dementia. I don't remember. I think it might have been Alzheimer's. She was a government worker, and she might have still been actively working for the government at the time when her mother was diagnosed with a form of dementia. And so at that time, she was financially well, and her husband was living. And so she did not sign up for any assistance, right? Even in this case, she didn't even sign up to be with a local area agency on aging for the Meals on Wheels and the other programs.
Right.
And so it was a progression of, as her mother's health became worse. I wish I had the number, so I'm just going to make up something. And even if it's grossly exaggerated, it'll make sense to relate back to her. She said she waited, then her money started depleting and she didn't have the money that she needed. So say like it was about 10 years later. And when she went back, she was like 8,000 and something on the list of the waiting list to get assistance. And it took her like another 4 years to get at the top of the list.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so it's those things. That's what I say, early planning, is so important that we really need to do that. I'm actually helping several people right now, about 5 different individuals try to relocate, and all of them are in the senior ages. One place I called for affordable dwelling units. They call them ADUs in some places.
I've heard that, yeah.
When I called to find out about this apartment, they told me that the waiting list is 4 years. Another place, the waiting list was 2.5 years. Right. And so you have this individual that may be on a fixed income at that particular time. So what do? Where do they go? So now it goes back to the caregiver. You may have to come out of pocket. They may be staying with you. You may have to go and they may have to move into assisted living. And unless they are on Medicare, or something like that, where the cost is just kind of consumed in all of that, then what do? Because the cost of being in assisted living, I think it may be starting at like $8,000 a month. Who has that kind of money? I mean, people have it, but not a lot of people don't have it. I'll just say it like that. Yeah.
Right. And it's just wild and so scary. We talked about pre-planning. Now, Keisha and I just talked a little bit about it before we started recording or, talking on this. And so pre-planning, my mother passed in October and last October. And one of the biggest things that really happened, because it wasn't a surprise because she had congestive heart failure and my dad took on a lot that he wasn't used to because my mom was the breadwinner. She did everything with the house, with all the bills, everything, taxes even. So when she suddenly passed, my dad was so busy just trying to take care of her then. The planning for her death was also pretty wild and sudden. Can you talk about that a little bit?
The emotional cost or the planning of
everything? So go for it.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about in the last December the 31st and today's day, there's been at least 4 people that I know that have passed.
Oh my goodness.
One has had a stroke. One has had a heart attack. And these are all people that I'm associated with. So let's start with the ones.
Sorry, by the way, I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you for that sincerity. One of the ones, there was a death. Now, the mother had told the daughter, the only child, that they had the insurance, health insurance, right? Life insurance. I can't remember which one it was, but to be able to take care of everything. I don't remember which one they had. It might have been life insurance. Well, comes to find out, she told her daughter she had everything planned, picked out, everything. Well, comes to find out when it's her insurance policy, that the insurance policy that she had was for accidental death only.
Oh, no.
So now there's this GoFundMe page that goes up at the 9th hour trying to get the funds. Another one that had passed, when she passed, she has a life insurance policy, but because she had not told anyone about it, she was very private and kept everything to herself. No one can find it to even reach out to the insurance company to be able to put those things in place, right? Yeah. So I talked to another one. He's like a father figure for me when I was growing up. Now I will say, when he and I spoke the other day, he said something the other day that I was so glad to hear, that he's 80 years old now. And he said, he's not going to be here, or 80 more years. He went to the place where they had his wife's memorial service. And she was cremated, and he asked them, what is the cost? I want to make sure now that I put these things in place so I don't have to have my children to be able to do this. But that is so rare, So dealing with that, trying to help people prepare for those, the cost of a funeral expenses is horrible, right? I have a friend that is in that business, and who told me one time is that a lot of the undertakers, they make a lot of their money in the caskets. Because I found out when my mom passed that it was like a 600% markup for caskets. And what they didn't want you to know is that you can rent a casket, or you can get a casket online. But then that mind comes in where they'll say, well, if you do this online, you do realize that the casket may not come there in time. So once you hear that, now you're fearful, right? And so it's all of these different things. But I'm not saying that to discredit that business, not at all. I just say things for people to think about and try to get them into pre-planning and early planning. So whether it's life assurance, whether it's setting aside funds, whether it's deciding what's going to happen, do you want to be cremated? Should this person be cremated? Who's the power of attorney, the financial power of attorney, the health power of attorney? All of these things are things that are just so passionate to really just keep bringing to the foreknowledge to get people to talk about. And then the other side of it is the emotional side. Now this person maybe that you've lived with, that was your spouse for 30, 40, 50 years, who's you finish each other's sentences, right? And now you're watching this person, whether it's a congestive heart failure or maybe even dementia, because they talk about dementia as one of the most difficult situations for a person to care for, because it becomes more, there's like no cure, if we could say it like that. So it's a progressive degenerative disease, if I could say it like that. So you may go from a couple hours to now 10 hours a week, or 10 hours a day, or to 24 hours watching this person. And so you're watching this person not be the person that you used to laugh with or have fun with, and now it's emotionally wearing on you, So all of these things are part of that. Or you feel guilty if you have to put your loved one in an assisted living facility or a nursing home. You feel like it's your fault, like you've done something wrong, Or you may have siblings that look down on you because you're doing that, but they're not there from the day to day to see what's best for that individual. So all of these are part of the cost of caregiving.
Yes, it is. And it's so wild how it is with dementia, because it can also change your personality. Mm-hmm. I've seen personalities change with older people that I've known when they develop dementia, that they go from like really easygoing, nice person to very mean and just short-tempered. And people that have never cursed in their lives, or at least I've never heard them curse in their lives, and then they start cursing. And it can become a security risk or a safety risk for caregivers as well. And that can be really scary situations for that as well.
Well, and not just a person with dementia, that definitely happens, but sometimes pain or medication will make the words come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Woo. And a lot of times that primary caregiver is that one. It could be that one child. It could be 13 other children, 12 other children, 10 other children. But it's that primary caregiver that a lot of times take the brunt of the pain of the words. and or the cursing, or I don't like you, or it could be so many different things. Again, because of what they're dealing with, it could be laying on your back, looking up at the ceiling day to day with bed sores on your back, needing someone to turn you, needing someone to scratch your ear for you, all of those different things. Or maybe something you didn't say to someone that you are really regretting when you were a lot younger can cause some of that bitterness and the hurt to come out. And so it takes a very strong person, that caregiver, to be able to say, okay, it's okay, and to kind of turn their ear, turn their cheek to allow some of those different things to come out. But sometimes it's just so bad, and words hurt, and they're very painful. And sometimes that happens when you're caring for someone that maybe abused you when you were a child, or neglected you, and now you're in that position where you have to care for that person now. And again, all of this go into what we've been talking about, the cost of being a family caregiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it is so scary at times. So there's one more part about with the pre-planning, because when my father had to deal with my mother's death, he didn't even have the codes to the cell phones that my mom had. That didn't know the bank accounts, didn't know what else to do with that. And honestly, he didn't even know that you can file for Social Security when you lose a spouse. He didn't know that. I was the only one out of my family that knew that. And I only knew it because it was part of a briefing I had when I started my federal job. Thank God for that one. But can you talk a little bit more about that too?
Well, it's just so much that you don't know. Right.
Yes.
And that's what I was saying in the beginning. People don't even realize that they're a caregiver until you realize that something happens and now it pops up unexpected. And now you find yourself having to find out about Social Security and seeing if it's available, or like we talked about the VA and what benefits are out there. Or if you have a loved one or a child with special needs, when they turn 18, what needs to happen before they turn 18, all of these things. So again, the best thing that I can do, and I really hope and I really pray, and that what comes out of these conversations is that people would really, really think about this, because a lot of times you don't want to talk about it. It's frustrating. You don't want to talk about death. You don't want to talk about finances. You don't want to talk about these different things, and they're all needed to be able to help put things in place. Do you know the PIN? Do you know the bank? Or I was saying with the insurance policy, they have no idea where the person's insurance policy is at to be able to help. Or there's a situation where the person got the insurance, but it was for accidental death only.
Yeah. You need to read into a lot of those things and know where to go. Like, I'm traveling to New York soon, and I told my sister, hey, something happens to me, that my will's here. My partner has it too, that at his place, this is, and it's got all the instructions, like all down to how to care for my cats.
That's so good. That's so good.
It's really important to have those things out there, and also discuss with your family members. That
could be so difficult, because sometimes family members don't want to listen. Sometimes it's too difficult for them, and sometimes it's like, they don't believe it. They're just putting on, because you're so used to be around that person all their life, So it's just a lot. And again, I just hope the conversations that we have about being family caregiver, and in today in particular, the cost of caregiving, not just the financial cost, the emotional cost, the spiritual cost, the occupational cost, the loss of jobs, the loss of your health, all of those things, that you think about those things and try to put little things in place for yourself to be able to help yourself.
Awesome. There's lots of important things. I'm glad people are here to hear it and to learn. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and enjoy this whole new year. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Keisha.
Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome, market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618.
I'm Ken Jennings. All of us here at Jeopardy want to thank you for your service to our nation. We truly honor and appreciate you, and what's more, we're looking for contestants like you to play on our show. So head to Jeopardy.com now and take the Anytime test, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon right here on the Alex Trebek.
One 803-2618. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally.
Hello, my name is
Welcome
Gigi
to
Crowder,
AHG
and
Connects,
I've
where
been
voices,
partnering with
information, and
iHeart and the American Heroes Group for the last 3 years now. It was our intention to have a guest, actually a celebrity guest, who's been doing work in the mental health space, looking at adverse childhood experiences. We're in California, and sadly, here in California, we've had probably one of the largest natural disasters in my lifetime for sure. I can think about the devastations that we've had, but from a financial cost and from listening to Governor Newsom, our governor here in California, when asked the question by Meet the Press, he said it's not about the number of bodies who were lost, but the vast nature of the fires in Southern California has had a major impact on the lives of those who lived in that area. And so we at NAMI have operated for the last 3 years with a grant from FEMA nationally. And then that was put in place because of COVID. We received phone calls from individuals about how they were experiencing COVID. So because of these fires, we're likely going to be getting more calls from people who've been devastated. We provide a warm line, but it's rather hot, no pun intended, because when there's a national disaster, we respond. What we immediately started thinking about at NAMI Contra Costa was how can we help the folks in Southern California? I personally have young sons, twins, who reside in Southern California. So I kept calling them, and maybe through fasting and praying that I've been doing, they're in a rare neighborhood that has not been impacted by the fires, but many other neighborhoods, most of their friends have had to pack up and be evacuated. So we've been praying for those families impacted. You've seen it on the news. Large numbers of individuals, many familiar names, because the locations of the fires were in a pretty wealthy part of California with a lot of celebrities have lost their homes. And one unfortunate thing that we've learned is that the water supplies were not where they needed to be. No fault of the state, according to the governor. There just been some things that came together in California, in the southern part of the state of California, that caused ripple effects around the spread. The time of year, the lack of moisture, we did not have a very rainy season, and then the high winds. So because of those things, NAMI across the state have kind of joined in together to offer our support. We have warm line numbers that we're asking people to call, and then we can provide them support. The type of phone calls we're getting are from individuals who are trying to make connections with their relatives. But mostly because of the work we do around mental health, the calls that we're getting have much more to do with the fact that individuals are displaced and worried. They're worried about their futures, much like COVID, when individuals are having a difficult time and they don't have a lot of knowledge about what their future is going to look like, their anxiety is heightened. And so we're seeing a lot of individuals who are calling our warm line because they have a heightened anxiety. We have created opportunities for individuals at NAMI to speak to some people who can best support them. We lift up lived experience. So one of the things we've lifted up was an opportunity for individuals. If you're a veteran, we have 4 veterans on standby. Unfortunately, a lot of the veteran calls are people who are already unsheltered and living in Los Angeles, California. So we've been making calls to try and figure out, okay, are there any special resources for veterans? And we have learned through the Red Cross that there are going to be some specialized programs for different target populations to get support. Large number of concern from the veterans is actually being separated from their animals. And so we're also trying to figure out, okay, how do we position the vets that we're talking to feel more comfortable about the outcome for their pets if they've been disconnected. So there's a lot going on here with the fires. Being in a position where individuals have a place to go to get support is really important. And so we're going to be, as a unit in California, there's actually 58 counties and 43 of them have NAMI affiliates. So we're constantly on the phone with each other and offering support around, well, if someone calls who has this need, refer them to us. So we're really in place to try and support those efforts. Who would have thought we would be in this place, but we're here now. And then we have to start looking at what the role the faith community plays, because that's really essential as well. When people are in distress, they tend to turn first to their faith community. We've learned that a lot of faith centers, churches, temples, have actually burnt as well. So that's leaving individuals feeling a level of distress as well. For a lot of people, where they get up and go worship becomes like a second home to them, and not to have that made available to them and not being able to contact people within their congregations, parishes, etc., has become very difficult. So what we wanted to do today is, instead of holding our regular show, just talk to you about who you can reach out to. And so we're going to make available to the America's Heroes group a list of resources that individuals can get to. I didn't want to stay here for very long. I am a roll up my sleeves and get the work done. And I've already gotten 2 individuals who have let me know they have a question for me. And so I want to be able to connect with them. So we won't have our full 30 minutes. I'm hoping next month we will come back and we'll be able to share, what in a more structured way, what will be made available to individuals. One of the challenges that many people had was that somehow, because of earlier fires in California, they'd gotten their insurance for their homes had been they terminated. And so a lot of people were worried about that, but I did hear Governor Newsom put some plans in place. They're also trying to put in place some efforts so that individuals who might be thinking about taking advantage unfairly of this fire — it always happens whenever there's a disaster, there's people who come up with schemes. So the scams, we've gotten some phone calls from people, and they were worried about giving money to individuals in order to help them out. And at a time like this, you should never really have to pay anyone for a type of kind of these type of resources. So we've been just cautioning people about pulling out their credit card and paying for anything. But what we do best at NAMI is provide the mental health support, the emotional support. And we do that with a full team of trained individuals who carry the skill set to do so. And so we're hoping that if anyone needs to find us, they would just go to the NAMICalifornia.org website, and then you can pretty much identify a NAMI in your region. Some of the phone lines, as we said, are down in Southern California, so individuals have been contacting other offices to get the support, and we make sure that we support the individuals. We like to use a hold on to your hand, keep it warm, and don't let go of it until we put your hand into another individual's warm hand to ensure that that you're not. And then we always let people know whenever anyone called NAMI, if we refer you to someone and they do not address your needs in a manner consistent with producing the best outcome for you, call us back. I often give my name, Gigi Crowder, because I'm kind of not fearful of any circumstances around talking to anyone. If I need to talk to the governor, I will do that on behalf of supporting people when they're in distress. So that's kind of what we have for you today, an opportunity for you to get the mental health supports that you need by relying on NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. California carries all of the contact information for all of the affiliates. Of course, your first point of contact will be Red Cross. That's the agency that's been put in place to support people through natural disasters. But then when you start thinking about mental health and people just needing someone to pick up the phone, to talk to help them regulate how they're feeling and to get them the resources that they need, then you can definitely call NAMI, and we'll let you know through triage if you need something more intensive. But typically, we're able to get people in the right direction to at least start feeling better. So thank you for your time. If you're in need of any mental health supports, remember NAMI California. So the NAMICA.org is where you would go to connect with anyone. If you have specific needs and you would like to get in contact with the local affiliate that I'm at, it's NAMI Contra Costa. And so it's NAMICONTRACOSTA.org. And as we're waiting for the calls, we're praying. And so we don't shy away from the important role faith and spirituality plays as we address natural disasters and look to the heavens for relief. Thank you. Go.
Okay, it's so nice to see you. You're an E5 in the Army.
Yes, I was.
But
Active in
this
reserve.
is Detro Dearborn, and she is really deeply involved with the mental health issues. And one of the things we were talking about today, we at Chicago State University with the cadets, and I was so happy that you stepped up and talked about mental health issues. This is where it starts, as we were talking about before. And so I want you to tell me, what do people need to know about the mental health starting their careers out in the military? And especially if they're going into leadership positions where other people are dependent on them being mentally sound. So and we start talking about PTSD, there's so many things that evolve over a person's career track in the military. So what advice do you give people about going into the military and making sure they guard their mental health?
Well, one thing I would say is to start early. So I have people in ROTC who starts counseling with me. And we're just working on, like past issues. How can they be a better leader? Things from their past, relationships, what to expect in the military. So I would recommend that any officer would go start counseling while in ROTC. For enlisted people, there are programs out there. So Military One Source is one of them, and I love being a Military One Source provider. Any military person, active reserves, guard in the United States or overseas can use a Military One Source. And all you do, you call up, and then they will connect you with the therapist, and then we help you, through some of your general issues. So that's what I would tell people. Mental health is really important. You really have to have mental health because you got so much going on, and you really need to take care of your mental health so that you can, I tell all my leaders, so that you can be the best leader for your soldiers, take care of your mental health.
Right, so everything, really control of everything begins with yourself, self-care. Right?
Yes, self-care.
And making sure that you are doing the best you can for yourself every day. But you had also mentioned that you are in multiple states. I mean, Georgia, so you're talking about major military institutions.
Yes, Georgia, Kansas, we got Riley and Leavenworth, Missouri, we got Scott. So I work a lot with Great Lakes, Fort Benning. Forgive me, I don't remember some of the newer names.
Sure.
Riley,
right.
Scott.
I know we changed some of the
yeah,
military post names.
and I'm trying to keep up with it, but yeah.
Right.
So I'm in most of the military bases in those 4 states right now, plus overseas. So the good thing about it is I don't have to have a special license to practice overseas. So I have people from Korea, from South Africa, from Europe, from Bahrain, calling me. And so what I do is I work with their schedule because military always get priority. So even if I'm up early in the morning and that suits our military members, I will do it. But so we're all over. We can go all over.
Oh, excellent. So what are some of the major concerns people have as cadets when they're coming to you? Because you were saying that you cover, there's a lot of things that go on, sexual trauma, bullying, all those things that are part of people's lives. This is part of the general population, never mind military. And as they're coming into that, do you have to deal with some of those things or those issues?
I do. Sexual trauma is a big one for guys and girls. Leadership, if you've been in the military, once you get a leader, you have to kind of work with that person. And if that person's not willing to work on themselves, then it's going to be a very, very hard time. So sexual trauma, leadership, family. Family is really important because, your family members typically don't sign up for the military, but they're in the military. So as you're moving around, that can become very stressful.
Yeah, because when I was in Iraq, I was, as a combat medic, so I was in Iraq, and I saw a lot of people come back and lose their relationships. Spouses, they get divorced, they estranged from their children, those kinds of things. And I've always wondered, it's because they did not work on those relationships before they left.
Yes, and that's the good thing about it. So, I like to promote Military One Source. Even your family members can use it, like your wife. So sometimes I'll just have a wife, and they can use it based on the family member. But yeah, if we can get the whole family in there, especially husband and wives, we can help, and I've been seen it successful. We keep families together, we keep our leaders doing well, they can focus on the mission. So if I'm a leader and my home life is not good, it's really hard for me to focus on the mission.
Yeah, because it seems like you're talking about the full range of enlisted and officers, and it also is the age range as well, because people are older now in the military, they do career tracks, and people are actually entering the military a little bit older than before because of the needs for technical training, for IT systems, that kind of thing. So do you see a difference between the younger cadets and the people who are already in the military, or how does that translate?
Yeah, I do. I do see a difference. Kind of like so there's a difference. I don't really know how to describe it, but no, I can say. So maybe some based on when you served, a lot of people are deploying and being pulled away from their families.
Yes.
So that's really hard on the younger cadets. Really hard on the younger cadets because they may deploy, come home, and then they deploy right back again. So I would say that would probably be the hardest because they're still trying to build their careers. If they're reservists or guards, they got jobs home, they got young kids. So, yeah, that would be harder, and that's what I see harder on the younger cadets, younger military people, is just trying to adjust to all the changes of the new military and every place they're going, and
yeah, because I feel kind of lucky because I had had a good relationship, with my wife before I left and that kind of thing. So she was able to take care of things and build a sense of pride in military personnel. So anyone who was here, she was helping people who were here that were in the military. So it became part of our family structure. So people in the military always look at them as being family members. And so I'm looking at this and saying, well, is there a way, like, people, if they have a particular issue with a crisis? When I was in Iraq, I remember pulling one person out who was actually attempting suicide. He was going to hang himself, and so we had to get him, pushed into the right channel to get him taken care of. And so, what would you say to someone who's having those problems in the family? Personal problems. Sometimes people are embarrassed and they don't want to talk. And as you were speaking about things, I was thinking about, well, we're in a very, divisive time period in the country, but we also have a lot of wars going on, and people are worried, and the emotional level is kind of at a high tempo. So, what would you tell people, when they worry about, I'm so afraid of this, and it may destroy my career, if I could say something?
well, that's why I really promote Military One Source. It's confidential. It does not go back to your leadership. By me being prior service, I can relax them, say, I understand about your career. We want you to have a great career, but you can trust the Military One Source therapist, to help you through this. And you were saying that, so on active duty, and I get a lot of reservists and guard members, you've lived on the active duty base, you have that support. Guardmen and reservists, they don't typically have that support. So that's one of the hardest things that I see, is trying to find a way to connect our reservists and our guard people to that military community that can help support them too. So support from the military, something like you said, like what your wife did, that was awesome. If we had more people like that working, that would help, some of our reservists and guard people.
Okay.
To be able to, focus on, and I just say, getting healthy and staying healthy. So the key is you gotta get healthy, you gotta maintain that.
Well, it sounds like we could be talking for hours. I want you to be on our show, so we're going to take your information. Make sure you stay in touch with us. But we're on a very extensive platform through StreamYard, and so America's Heroes Group cares about veterans, and we love to hear stories like this. So we've had multiple people on there, congressional members, generals, and the story that you're telling from a mental health perspective is absolutely crucial for people to hear.
Yes, it is. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I would definitely
And soldiers airborne.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618.
I'm Ken Jennings. All of us here at Jeopardy want to thank you for your service to our nation. We truly honor and appreciate you, and what's more, we're looking for contestants like you to play on our show. So head to Jeopardy.com now and take the Anytime test, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon right here on the Alex Trebek stage.
Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources
Kalota,
are empowered.
AHG correspondent, and I am here to discuss what is going on for military and veterans on this upcoming congressional year. So our House representatives and our senators signed in January 2nd. And so we've had, some time since we've actually they've gotten started in getting things scheduled and getting things introduced. There's over 400 congressional bills that's actually been introduced by now. Only a few are really for military and veterans. I'm still waiting for more things to get updated because right now it only really shows the title. It gives us some information about it, what's going on. And a lot of it is the typical stuff of introducing care pilot programs for certain things. So I'm kind of excited on seeing what's going on. One for sure is a study for how the VA is treating our veterans, our women veterans that are going through menopause, which has become a big deal lately because there's a lot of doctors out there that are not actually trained in perimenopause and other types of, things that go on around menopause. And it's only covered really in a very small sect of medical school. And so I really encourage you guys, if you are running into that issue or somebody that's running into that issue, please take a look it up, and contact your House representative or your senator for that. And if you really are interested in it, it's House Bill 219. If you're interested on getting that pushed forward and through. There's another bill that's been introduced that I'm not surprised to see because it's been introduced almost every year, every congressional new session. And that's House Bill 210, and that is to furnish dental care in the same manner as any other medical service. For those that don't know, our veterans who receive VA care, majority of them do not receive dental care. The only ones that actually receive dental care are those that have service-connected conditions that are connected to dental, and also those that are at 100% or paid at 100%, i.e. TDIU, individual employability. So those are the only ones that really cover dental care. Those advocating for this change so that everyone can get dental care. The argument is that dental care is very vital to your life. It is very old school thought that dental is, not as important. Many people know that, cardiovascular health, there's many risks to diabetes. If your teeth and your oral care do not get the proper hygiene it needs, it can affect the rest of, your body and your mental health as well. Because those with teeth that does not look great, you do tend to have anxiety and depression because you're afraid to smile, you're afraid to open your mouth and show what's going on down there. So it can cause a lot of things for a veteran that can honestly probably save the VA in the long run, because if it causes cardiovascular conditions or helps develop, increase the risk, they're probably saving themselves in the long run. The downside is that it can be very costly, and it could be a bear to start. And here's the downside of if they pass this law to actually furnish dental care for everyone. The thing is that a lot of the VAs are not equipped to do the dental care for that much of the population of those that are treated there. A lot of the dental clinics, because I'm one that actually receives the dental care. So I will tell you, it is the size of a small dental office that you see anywhere else. And that is what is really in a VA hospital that, treats hundreds of thousands of people. So thousands of people. So that might not be enough. So they would probably have to build more facilities. It costs more money, employ more people. They, other than that, they would go see community care. That could be a huge increase in the workload for community care people, which means you need more people to be handling the processing for community care and getting our veterans linked up with those clinics on the outside to get that care. So yeah, it could cause a lot of issues getting this bill passed, but it's going to be a hill to climb. This is something that's been introduced multiple times, so I really do encourage, if you want that to pass and actually help our veterans for that. Again, that House bill number is 210. You can contact your House representative and your senator. You look them up by Googling who's my House representative, who's my senator, this is my state, and you can find out. I highly recommend, if you are dealing with an issue or you want to deal with something that is a congressional bill, contact the DC office. Don't contact the local office, because those people kind of handle things that are happening to you like right now and nearby. I really recommend to try to do the DC office for more of the congressional things on these bills and such, because that's what they really focus on. So other things to really look forward to in the next couple of months. So with every new congressional year and also session, there is usually the veteran service organizations do their briefing, typically annually, sometimes semi-annually. It's kind of tough to tell with COVID sometimes, but they will do their briefings and they will talk to the committees, usually the Veterans Affairs committees, and talk about what's important to them, what Congress should be focusing on. They would also talk about many different subjects and what's, that it pertains to their specific veteran service organization, because there are many different veteran service organizations. There's the Paralyzed Veterans of America. There are the Blind Veterans of America. There are Minority Veterans of America who handle trans, LGBTQ veterans. They also do the minority veterans as well for race, ethnicity, things like that. There's many other organizations that do the briefings, like Wounded Warrior Project or the DAV or the VFW and the American Legion. If you are interested in this, just keep an eye out. That should happen around March. I've seen it between February and March timeframe. So keep an eye out for that. You can, if you're part of these organizations, you can always try to contact the organizations and let them know if there's anything particular to you that you would like them to focus on. That can help in communication, so they can try to help relay that. They can do some research, add it to their list. It may help you out individually, and probably a whole lot of other people that didn't know that you could do this. So the next things to be watching for will be the nomination hearings that would be happening for the Secretary of the Veteran Affairs and Secretary of Defense. These are things that have been talked about a lot that has been going on, particularly for DOD. For those that don't know, President Trump has said that he will nominate Pete Hegseth, who is a veteran, and he was, I believe he still is, a Fox News commentator. And so he's there and been nominated. There's a lot of people that are uncomfortable with him going into this. And this is mostly because of his background in the military. When he was in the National Guard, he was also one of those that was called up for January 6th. And they found out that he has some tattoos that makes it look like he may be part of or supported of extremist organization. So there's a lot of people that are worried about that. That was noted. He was recommended to be taken off of the mission to be in DC, and then he did resign his commission from the National Guard. So that can cause a little bit of concern there. There should be the FBI background check going through right now. There has been a briefing on that I've seen, and certain key senators have been read in on this. And the only ones that I've really seen were ones that were Republicans. So because honestly, there is enough votes in the Republican side of the Senate to pass if they all vote to nominate Pete Hegseth. So we'll see how that one goes. Oh, excuse me. There's one. Senator Richard Blumenthal was part of it, and the information that he was made aware of from the FBI report. His statement basically said was damning is an understatement for what he read. So, and so we'll see how this goes. He added the fact that senators had not been promised access to Pete Hegseth's background check gave the appearance of a cover-up. So this might be something to watch. There has been allegations on many sides for Pete Hegseth, and that is sexual assault, sexual harassment, alcohol abuse, misuse of funds, especially when he used to work for Concerned Veterans of America, for that veteran service organization. And so we'll really see how this one will come out. There will be I laugh a little bit because there's a hearing happening in Congress to discuss the nominations for Pete Hegseth and also for the VA secretary. And it almost appears that it's a meeting to discuss a future meeting. So it's kind of funny to me. So it'll be funny to you if you ever see how that meeting goes. So that one will probably be posted on my own social media sites on the Political Veteran. So you can go ahead and take a look on that on all the social medias and my website, and we'll see how that one plays out on what may be said in those meetings. Just FYI, all nominations are run through the Senate. So that's the reason why I keep naming senators. So they do the nominations for that side. For anything that needs a political nomination from the president, they do that. And they run through all the checks and make sure that everything is on the up and up. So we will see how that one goes. There's been varied other issues that people have said from about Pete Hegseth, especially those women that are serving in the military currently. They're concerned because he has actually talked very terribly about women in the military and have blamed them for many reasons on why things are wrong and that they shouldn't be in combat positions anymore. So we may see a reversal of the lift on that ban. So on combat MOSs, that may be happening, which can cause a lot of issues. And so it could be something to be watching out for, because that can cause judicial actions, that can cause legislative actions, and it might actually come down to an executive order from President Trump as well. So we'll have to see, because President Trump isn't against reinstating bans, because he did that for the LGBTQ, for the trans ban. Sorry, I mixed them up. For the trans ban, he reinstated that when he was in. But the thing is that he wanted to kick out the trans people that was in the military, who were already serving. The ban was only applicable to those that enlisted and they were open. So there was no way for Trump to really find all the people that were trans in the military and then make them exit. It could also be breaches of contracts and things like that that can cause other judicial actions. So there has been calls to do that from Project 2025, that even though President Trump says he does not know what it is and who wrote it, he has appointed most of the people that were authors of this. So that one is one to look out for. And speaking of President Trump, he says he has 100 executive orders to sign on day one. And so I haven't seen a comprehensive list of many subjects. Most of them have to do with deportation, border security, but he has said that he is in favor of using the military to do the mass deportations in the United States, which can cause an issue with the Posse Comitatus Act, meaning that the military cannot be used to basically act as law enforcement within the United States. Doing deportation within the United States is probably depending on how the judge sees it and how is it argued, but it would very much be a judicial case as well. That's going to be something that's going to clog up the Supreme Court circuit. So we're going to have to see how that one plays out. Lots to watch for. Now, for the VA secretary, his name is Doug Collins. He is not catching a whole lot of spotlight, mostly because Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and a few other people have been getting a lot of the spotlight, Matt Gaetz, what have you. So Doug Collins have kind of been a sleeper in that under there. So then you pretty much are not sure what to expect from him for some people. So Doug Collins is an American lawyer, politician, Air Force veteran, and the presumptive nominee for the United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs for the second Trump administration. And he was been selected by President-elect Trump on November 2024. He has previously served as a U.S. representative for Georgia's 9th Congressional District. He was also part of the Georgia House of Representatives as well prior to that. And he also serves as a chaplain in the United States Air Force Reserve and with the rank of colonel. So he's got some stuff going on. He's got some background. He has been working in that. So it's going to be seeing how this goes. He has, so he did serve for 2 years in the Navy as a Navy chaplain during the 80s. But after 9/11, he joined the Air Force Reserve Command as a chaplain. So that's pretty much where he goes for that. He was deployed to Balad for 5 months in 2008. 5 months is actually long for Air Force because usually it's 3 to 4. So a little surprised at that. But it was, so he was there for Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom. And there isn't much on experience that he's had on Veterans Affairs. When he served for the House of Representatives, he actually wasn't on any of the committees, the Veteran Affairs Committee for that, or any of the subcommittees. So it's a little interesting on what he might actually go for. But you have to go more in depth on his background so that you can figure out what he really needs, what he might actually do as the VA secretary. So he has opposed the reproductive health care and abortion. So actually the Susan B. Anthony Foundation actually rates him as an A+ as a politician for his stances on abortion. So if he does get nominated, he will be the presumptive nominee in acting. So he will likely take away the policy that the Biden administration put in place to actually perform abortions or abortion counselings for those veterans that find themselves pregnant, and the pregnancy will risk their life, the health. or it was a result of a rape or incest, or it's a complication against one of their service-connected conditions. So that was done after Roe v. Wade was rescinded because of the Dobbs decision. So this one will likely go away. If those that are unsure on how you feel about those laws and the different intricacies on that, I really encourage you to look up the Hyde Amendment, because that is where a lot of the opposition is against the Biden's administration's move for this policy, because it says that the federal funding cannot be used for abortion unless it was for risk of the life of the mother, rape, or incest. It's changed a few times. So prior to the Dobbs decision, the VA's never provided any abortion or abortion counseling. And then they changed that decision. They believe it was within the grounds of the Hyde Amendment. But there hasn't been any judicial action to restrict them from doing that. Congress has only really tried to put in resolutions to say that they are displeased, that they do not approve of, and those were not passed. So that's something to look out for a lot of people that are advocates for reproductive health care. There are a few other things. He is also against a lot of LGBTQ rights. He opposes same-sex marriage. He's also had some issues with other things that happens to go with that, with sexual orientation and gender identity. He opposed the Equality Act and voted against it in 2019. So there might be some issues with those that are LGBTQ veterans seeking healthcare for the VA, or even just regular stuff. So we may see issues with any spousal care for those that are in same-sex marriages. We may see issues for trans people that are trying to get their healthcare. If they've already received their gender transition surgery, they need to be on lifelong care for that. And this may come into risk. So that may also become a judicial action as well, because they can veterans can file against the VA in federal courts for that. So this is something to look out for as well. Okay. Now, departing from that, from the VA and back to President Trump on what may he be doing. I am diverting mostly to Project 2025 because that does really line out on what he may do. Those may say that President Trump, that he might not follow any of the stuff because, he doesn't know this organization that wrote Project 2025 or, that type of stuff. The thing is that President Trump actually on his first administration actually received a similar thing to Project 2025, because that's just really a moniker for this one. The Heritage Foundation writes one every presidential term in hopes that the conservative president who wins will take this and follow it along. Well, he did at least 70% of that policy book's recommendation for his first administration. So he may very well follow this one. May not do exactly all of it, but he may do part of it. And so we'll see how that one goes. There's been a lot of pushback and a lot of criticism from a lot of experts. So we may see less follow through on the Project 2025 than we've seen from conservative presidents in the past when they received the same policy from the Heritage Foundation. So it's very possible it'll be a lower number, and it's something to watch out for. There's a lot of things that we may see from Trump, and it could be different things. One of them would likely be a change to the federal scheduler for workforce, rules. So it's tough to explain. So for federal employees, they have a type of job identifier, and it's Schedule F. is a certain group, and that group actually cannot be fired from a political person. So the president can't fire them because they do not agree with his policies, with his political, ideals and things. And he can't appoint people to replace them that would follow what he believes. And he believes that was one of the reasons why his first administration went so poorly, was because he didn't have absolute command and control, because these people, were there and didn't really care that that's what his policies were. And they still did their jobs, not saying they're terrible, just saying that this is what has been the apparent. And that's one of the things that he may go after, is trying to remove that political protection for these federal employees. It's something to watch out for, because about 30% of federal employees are actually veterans, because they do receive a preference, a little added bonus and a kicker whenever they do apply. They get a little bit higher on the list because of their veteran identification. So it would be something to look out for, and again, happen in judicial actions. So that will be something to really watch out for, and hopefully keep everybody in mind, for those that that are federal employees, because honestly, it's a really great job. I miss my federal job. And there's a lot of really great people there that are just trying to do their job day to day. And one of the reasons why this protection is in place is so that there wouldn't be so much attrition and new people coming in just because a new president, won the election every 4 years. Can you imagine every 4 years you're replacing somebody, and you can maintain all of that experience there in that place and protect it from political power. And that way they can keep doing their job, what they're great at. Employees can still be fired if they fail to do certain things and meet the expectations and everything like that. All of that is still in place. They still have those laws in place of how to let go and actually punish a bad employee. So not saying that there isn't any of that going on out there. It's just something to be aware of, and understanding of that. And then we might see something on vaccine mandates, because that may change. We may see different things that's going on with vaccines completely, which can affect our veterans, because they are a vulnerable population. And a lot of times when you have a lot of issues, and also military, if you have a lot of physical and mental issues, it can affect your immune system. So you're less likely to fight against certain viruses and infections. So this might be something that may change as well. Whew. So we can keep a lookout on how this goes for the rest of this year. And everyone has said that the first 100 days, you do get the most things done in a president's term compared to the rest of the 4-year term. It's all about this first 100 days. And if you look back and remember certain things that President Trump has done, like the Muslim travel ban and other things that's happened, I remember that was in the first 100 days, at least, or within the first year. And it can cause a lot of havoc. And we'll have to really keep our eye out on how these things go and how it's going to affect our military and veterans, and how best to advocate for them. We'll see. And next month, we'll be talking about more things that come up and arise, and we will discuss them and try to iron them out for you. So
resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome, market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 3.
I'm Ken Jennings. All of us here at Jeopardy want to thank you for your service to our nation. We truly honor and appreciate you, and what's more, we're looking for contestants like you to play on our show. So head to Jeopardy.com now and take the Anytime test, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon right here on the Alex Trebek stage.
AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details at 312-803-2618. Market, advertise, and sponsor your business with Vietnam veteran Cliff Kelly and America's Heroes Group, where information and resources are intentionally disseminated via radio, print, and social media. Call our office for more details. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally.
The phone to be able to.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me?
Welcome to AHG Connects, where
Oh,
voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally. Welcome to AHG Connects, where voices, information, and resources are empowered intentionally.
hello. I am so sorry for all of the delays there. I am not tremendously great at technology, which is fine because we're not a tech company. What we do is our absolute very best to ensure that you are paying not a single penny more than what you actually owe in taxes. And now I understand you've got all these tax sites out there. You've got a whole lot of things. You're seeing commercials where everybody's a tax expert and taxes are for everybody. And hey, to some extent, that is true. You are certainly the expert of what is going on in your life financially and in your business, and the expert of where you want to go. But you may not have all the latest information and data on taxes because they are changing all of the time. There are tax laws that things from the TCJA that are slowly sunsetting. There was 100% bonus depreciation for a while on certain assets, and then it went down to 80, then 60, 40, 20. You see where this is going. More importantly, if you are a business, you need to make sure that you are actually capturing and accurately capturing all of your deductions. Different things are deductible, certainly at different amounts for different businesses, as well as every business is attached. Pardon me while I crochet in the bottom of this. Every business is attached to a real person, a real family who is sitting around the kitchen table, which is often also the boardroom table, trying to figure out how they are going to approach this year and taxes. Are they going to owe? Are they going to have a refund? Is that refund going to be enough to do the thing they want to do? If they owe, do they have a plan for paying it? And how much do they owe? How bad is it? And it is very easy to be overwhelmed and frightened by that, especially when you're not just mom or dad, but you're also the boss and half the work staff, and it all rides on you. So let us take a little bit of that off of you. Give us a chance to partner with you and help you so that you're capturing all of those expenses, so that you know all the different ways you can structure your income No.
What? Okay, so is it good now? Can you see me now?
Is it not showing?
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. I'm so sorry. A few more technical difficulties. But as I was saying, allow us to take a look at that with you, because it is easy to see the advertisements that say, oh, you can file your own taxes at home. But what you probably don't know is that a lot of accounting firms, ourselves included, can give you that same service, only we can give it to you as a personalized service where we actually look at your actual business, your actual expenses, your actual needs, and advise you on ways that you can structure things. For instance, how many people out there are trying to make a little extra money or made a little extra money, maybe over the holidays, by driving for Uber or Instacart or some other thing where you're going to get a 1099? With that 1099 comes self-employment tax. But there is a way out of that self-employment tax, and that is by incorporating. But do you want to incorporate as an S Corp? Do you want to incorporate as an LLC that you then treat as an S Corp? A lot of this depends on what your needs are, what your unique situation is, what's happening at the boardroom that is also the kitchen table. Because if you've got kids there, then the next question is, how old are the kids? Because we've got options where we allow you as a business owner to pay your kids as employees in the business and invest that money for your children's future. Are your kids looking at being closer to college? And now you need to think about how you are going to structure your taxes once you have no dependents in the home. Are you that dependent that is now going out into the world to live on your own and manage your own household, and therefore its finances and taxes? Are you ready for that? If you don't know that you are, do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Let's talk. Give us a call at, oh my goodness, I just had that change, at 708-914-8220. Look us up, katzmalanik.com. If you go on YouTube, you're going to see some of our testimonials where we've been able to help people and helped them to save a great deal of money on their taxes. Specifically because this is a show targeted at veterans and their families. Many of y'all have served your country in ways that your country can't begin to pay you back for. But not accidentally overpaying your taxes and them giving you back everything that you're due, we would love to help be a part of that. And here at Katzmalanik, if no other discount applies, we will give an 11% discount to veterans or active duty military on any of our services that we provide. I wish there was a way I wish that there was a way to I wish there was a way to make taxes simple for everyone, even if it would mean me not having as much to do in the way of work on that side of things. But as long as they're complicated, as long as they're complex, rather than be frustrated with what you're finding or confused about the changes in tax law, rather than look at a high tax bill and think, I don't have a way out of this, give us a call. Let us take a look. I know one of the things that those who have tax debt have likely heard about is either the Fresh Start Initiative, or some people know it by the more accurate name, Offer and Compromise. And that is, well, sort of exactly what it sounds like. It is an offer that you make to the IRS where you agree to compromise. Let's say, for instance, the IRS has told you that you owe $29,000 in taxes, and you're looking at it and you're going, I definitely do not have $29,000. I don't have a way to get $29,000. I've got to get rid of this because they're coming after my paycheck. They're bothering me at work. Nobody wants anybody to bother their boss in this or any economy. So I got to get rid of this. Well, the Offer and Compromise is a program where we assist you in making that offer to the IRS. We look at your expenses, we look at your income, and we'll tell you right up front whether you're going to qualify or not. Because we're not going to let you pay us for that level of service if we don't think we're going to successfully get you that offer and compromise. We want to help if we're going to get paid to solve the problem for you. I believe at least one of the testimonials on our YouTube channel, you can find us on YouTube at Katz Milanic, is a testimonial that talks about an offer and compromise. Most of the time, we settle those tax debts for between $500 and $2,000. Now, we do charge, our starting fee is $5,000 for that service, and it goes up based on the complexity of the service, how much we are looking at in the way of bookkeeping and putting together the package, because it is a pretty large package. But most importantly, we at Katz Milanic have not yet lost a single disputed case before the IRS. There are some that are still in dispute and that we are continuing to fight, that have been longer than we would like that fight to be. But that is because the love of my life, the best thing I brought back from Purdue University, David, the CPA here at the firm, is aggressive and tenacious when it comes to dealing with the IRS. If you are entitled to something, then you are entitled to it. And if you need a ferocious advocate who is going to go after what the IRS owes you, or go after resolving your debt with them in a way that is truly fair to you, then you want to hire my husband to do it. And I do not just say that because I like him an awful lot and we have a whole bunch of kids. It's because he's my partner in this business, not just in life. I don't just live with him. I work across the desk from him every single day. I watch the calls. I hear them. I know how hard he fights. And I know the results that produces. So if you would like to see those results, if you'd like to see what we can do for you, we would love to have you call our office, 708-914-8220. Again, that's 708-914-8220. If you mention that you heard us on America's Heroes Group, you can receive a completely free consultation this tax season, because we really do love our veterans. My dad served in the Navy. I have a picture of the USS Fort Snelling that he served on hanging on the wall, and his flag to the left of me. And I remember helping him get an offer in compromise, and what a big difference that made, him getting rid of and it was only a $600 or $700 a month payment, but by then he was, to quote him, just a retired old man who didn't have anything. Obviously, everything he had wasn't about material, but he certainly didn't have enough to pay off his $60,000 debt with the IRS that he had accumulated accidentally and long before he had family in the tax business, but had been paying off for a long time. And when that was resolved and it freed up that amount of money for him, he, of course, promptly wasted it on his grandkids and had a wonderful time doing it. Because that is what this work really boils down to. It's not just another tax return. It's not just another bookkeeping. It's not just another OIC. Your business is not just another business. It's your livelihood. It's your family. It's your vacation money or your catch up my bills money. It is so many things to you, to each person, that it matters that you have personalized and real service, that you can talk to somebody, that you can ask somebody, so am I on a good track for this? Do I have enough coming out of my check to not have to owe taxes next year? What do I do when I get married? How do we adjust our withholdings? Do we need to adjust our withholdings? What happens when that means both of us go off of our parents' insurance and now we're on hers because mine is a 1099 job? What does all that mean to us? Well, give us a call. 708-914-8220. Again, 708-914-8220. Mention that you heard us on America's Heroes Group. Get a free consultation. Sit down with someone. And it doesn't have to be in our office, even with the technical problems we had this evening. We're talking now, and I'm not where you are, and you're not where I am. And we can do your taxes the same way, only on a much more secure connection over the phone or Zoom. We have a safe electronic document portal we can send you, and you can send us your documents. You can do everything from the comfort and safety of your home, just like the advertisements promised you'd be able to. Only you have the option of having a professional in your corner who understands the laws and is invested in getting you the most money back possible and getting you exactly what you need and deserve. David can quote the exact precedent for the Supreme Court case, but I remember what the Supreme Court found in the case, at least. And that is that no one is required to pay a penny more in taxes than they are absolutely obligated to pay. So you don't have to feel like you're somehow trying to get around something or do something wrong by trying to reduce your tax bill as low as possible. That's already been to the highest court in the land. We owe what we owe, and we can't get out of that, but we are permitted to get that number as low as legally possible. And after tax season, the biggest part of tax season ends in April, all of the I did it myself software, all of the I went to a pop-up shop in a local Walmart, all of that stuff becomes a problem if there's an issue. If you are one of the 1% that gets audited every year, if someone claimed one of your dependents, perhaps accidentally, if insert the numerous things that can and do go wrong when an entire nation files its taxes. If you don't have a CPA you're working with, what happens then? What happens when you get the letter in the mail? You're worried, you're upset, you're nervous. You don't necessarily know exactly what you're going to do. And maybe they say, oh, you didn't file this paper in time and you owe an additional, $350. And you really believe you did file it in time or you did include the thing they're saying, but how can you prove it? How can you fight about that? It's much harder if that's not what you regularly do. If that's not your wheelhouse. So we would love for you to call us at 708-914-8220. Again, that's 708-914-8220 and get a free consultation for any tax-related problem. For any sort of IRS debt, if you need a payment plan with the IRS, if you don't know if you are considered a business or not, if you go somewhere, if you try I'm going to file it for free myself, and you're looking at a tax bill of $12,000 and you're going, this doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't make nearly enough. to be paying $12,000. Don't hit file on it. Call us. Use that free consultation that you can get just by telling us that you heard about us on America's Heroes Group. Let us take a look. Because if we can take that $12,000 bill and we can break that down to $2,000, now you've got something manageable. If you get a notice you don't understand, give us a call. Some of the most common questions that we get are about what happens if someone claims my dependent, but that's my dependent. No one was supposed to claim my dependent. I was the only one who had the right to claim them.